Hi, I'm Tommy Small, my pronouns are he, him. I'm artistic director of a dance company based in Dundee called Shaper Caper. So I'm a choreographer, so that's kind of what I do is my day job. Years ago, I danced too myself, but choreography is the thing that I absolutely love making shows.
My name's Dawn Hartley. I've been teaching dance for a long time, but I'm also a choreographer and a producer and a fundraiser at the moment.
So I'm John Ross. I'm a professional dancer and a choreographer and a director. I perform in contemporary dance a lot with companies locally and also internationally. But I also kind of make for opera, cabaret, film and TV as well.
Can you give everybody here a bit of an idea about a typical day?
Yes. So I'm going to imagine on this typical day that I'm going into rehearsals, maybe, would be my typical day. So we check emails first, make sure if there's anything that I need to hear about, maybe from the production team, maybe I've got like a set designer or something that's kind of making a gorgeous kind of set and props or something. So I'd be checking in to see any kind of latest kind of information that they've kind of sent over. So I would be doing that while the dancers are warming up, and then I would head over once they're all ready and warm, kind of going through some material that we'd kind of maybe kind of did the day before, and then the rest of the day would be kind of spent to maybe kind of working on tasks and making like other bits of the sections of the show.
All of Tommy's work, he's devising it, he's creating it. It's not something that is already made. It's always all coming out of his head, so it's completely original. And then you'll tour it, won't you? You'll take it around all. That's right. Well, everywhere. Anywhere.
Anywhere that will have us.
What's a typical day for you?
I'll do it from the dancer's point of view. So
Okay.
probably go to rehearsal maybe a little bit earlier just to kind of just wake up basically. And then you usually have like a technique class, so like a warm-up class, usually lasts about an hour or an hour and a half. And then you go into rehearsals, so then someone like Tommy would then come in and then he would tell you the plan about what you're going to do. Sometimes you'll get some steps taught on you and then you might get asked to then go, how do you develop that, how do you change that? Or other times you might just get a complete kind of task itself and you have to create from scratch. And then you kind of present it, and then you kind of collaborate together. In
the old days, people just used to study stuff, and the steps, they would just do the steps, but dancers are always asked to create some choreography these days, so they're always developing their own skills as well. Sometimes dancers become choreographers quite early on, as you did, Tommy, because that's the thing they get really interested in. The training for dancers is it's really challenging in terms of like doing lots of technique classes, getting your body really strong. But I know from my experience when I went to dance college, even though I had quite a lot of dance under my belt, it was 3 technique classes a day and then more and then more. But by the end of the 3 years, oh my goodness, were we fit. So although it sounds like quite a lot to be working Monday to Friday, 10 to 5 every day, the training is what's amazing. It actually sets you up for all that. So that's part of the importance of it, really.
Back in my day, there was no like dance courses at school. That just didn't happen where I went to school. So I just my wee pal Julie used to go to dance classes round the corner, and she would like learn things like Madonna's Vogue. And when she learned it, I thought, I need to learn that. I just need to learn that. And that really planted the seeds, just like me and my friend like hiding at dinner time, learning this routine. It sparked something that I just thought, oh my goodness, like maybe I could do this with my life.
I was not very academic. I'm dyslexic, writing and math and everything I was just terrible at it. And so I was failing school a lot. And I left and I did 2 years at a drama college. We did movement as like a study as part of the course. And I ended up getting the top grade that the college had at that point in the drama course. And then the dance teacher who ran the course, Peter Royston at the time, he basically just came up to me and just said, have you ever thought about having a career in dance? The only dance I'd ever seen before Scottish Dance Day was my baby sister with her pom-poms. And so dance for me was like, why would I want to be dancing around with pom-poms? But then I saw Scottish Dance Theatre and it kind of all there. And then I managed to get into the foundation course.
For me, it was just like, I was really keen on it. I didn't really like people watching me. I just wanted to dance because I liked the feeling of it. And I just got more and more interested in it and wanted to do it more and more. And it was ages before anyone said, hey, you're pretty good. Ages! But I didn't care because I didn't really want them to look at me anyway. And then it was like, all right, so it's all sorts of different ways to get into it,
What qualifications do you need for most dance colleges?
I did really badly at school, so I only had one kind of higher, but what they did with me was, that I thought was really great, was they allowed me to do a couple of entrance kind of examination things. But one, there was a little interview where I had to talk to them. Another one was I had to choreograph a 1 minute solo and then present that.
There was one person in my class actually that had no qualifications. She failed school. everything. And but her talent was, I mean, she was exceptional.
Wow.
So she got in, and then they kind of guided her, and she came up with a full degree.
Why do you think more people don't dance?
Because confidence.
Confidence, thank you. Because of confidence, so they don't have enough confidence to dance. Anybody got any other ideas about
Skill.
Skill? They don't feel skilled? Pardon?
Money.
Money, sometimes you have to pay a lot of money for lessons. So if you don't have extra money in the house, then you're not going to get to do the dance classes. What about our society? Do you think our society encourages people to dance? People are weird about dancers, aren't they? It's interesting to me that culturally we're kind of, it's okay to maybe get up at a wedding and do dances, that's fine, or a disco or a school disco, but the idea of just going for it, everybody does it. We all know that they do, don't they? All secretly dancing in their own houses, but in front of other people? No.
You know, the amount of times I heard when I was kind of younger, like, boys don't dance, it was just like, it was exhausting, the amount of times people tell me boys don't dance. And I was like, well, here I am dancing, so yes, we do. I think things, though, like Strictly and things like that, though, have been, like, really good at changing some of that kind of conversation, though, around the types of people dancing. And also, I thought, yeah, the one about money as well, I think is a really important one, isn't it? Especially if you go through lots of competitions. All costs a lot of money, doesn't it?
People have as dancing, or they think of dancing that it's just as one thing that you perform on stage and that's it. That's all what a dance is. So if you're going to train as a dancer, that's all you'll ever do. But actually the scale of, like, even just us three, what we do alone is massive.
Can you give us an idea what other things you've done with dance that were maybe unexpected?
Do you know the V&A in Dundee? Have anybody been to the V&A in Dundee? Yeah, a few people. So I did the opening of that, and that was quite unexpected because it was people from, you know, various kind of different kind of backgrounds and maybe never danced before. And yeah, and everybody danced. It was so exciting. It was really emotional as well, just seeing everyone come together to dance. So I thought that was a very beautiful moment. So yeah.
Choreographed and directed a cabaret which was full of circus artists. So we had it ranging from a girl who was hanging from her hair, spinning in the air with fire, to a girl on aerial pole who got shot in the air, and so she did pole dancing in the air. And they asked me to choreograph this, and I'm like, do you realise I can't do any of that, right? But it was kind of like that thing, it's like all the skills that I learned, you just go, oh right, I can see what you're trying here, or actually why don't you put your arm out because that will give that shape, or etc, etc. But it was really amazing. When we presented it to the audience, there was about 3,000 people that come to see this thing, and 3,000 people just started bouncing. Nice. And it was just like, what's happening? It was that feeling of like everyone felt something, and it was just because of the dancing. And it was like, this is cool. This is why I do my job.
Completely opposite end of the scale, right? When I was starting my, what I call community dance training, because I trained as a technical dancer and then was really interested in working in the community, with this lovely woman who brought me to this, it was actually a bed in Stranraer Hospital where there's a young man there who had hardly any movement at all, but she'd established a relationship with him using movement and tapping and different kinds of gestures, tiny little movements, so that we would do that every week. We'd go and visit this guy and do what I would call mini dancing, yeah, to try to get him to engage with us. And we always got these different flickers in the eyes or different movements with his fingers. So the range, you know, going from something spectacular and 3,000 people to one-to-one, and these tiny little delicate but really important things was kind of interesting to me that we can do that. Can you tell us about a significant turning point or inspiration on your journey?
I had a moment in my career where I was I was making work under one company, and sadly that all closed and it all looked kind of doom and gloom. And there was this job advertised, like saying like, we're looking for a photographer or maybe an actor or maybe a poet, and then it said, etc. And I thought, I could be, etc. So I put in an application, and they said, oh, come down to London for this interview. And it was the bizarrest interview I've ever had in my life, trying to talk about the nuance of contemporary dance with Claudia Winkleman. And I just thought, well, that was amazing. I am never going to hear from them ever again, because how do you put dance on the radio? But then, yeah, I got the job. So I then worked at Radio 2 for a year, in the weirdest kind of like curve in my career. And then it just opened the door to me, like making kind of films that are about dance, you know. So I guess that was like a big kind of turning point for me, where I just realised actually dance could kind of be in lots of different ways. You can make a dance film. I think ultimately that probably led to me doing the V&A thing as well, because it actually opened the door to actually working in a completely different way. So,
Is this when we did Carfest?
Yeah, oh my goodness, oh, you were in it. I forgot about that. Of course you were.
So we made a show basically in a Mini?
Yeah, a Clio,
A Clio car. And we made this dance piece where the car actually drove.
Yeah.
At one point I was on the roof with it going 20 miles an hour. And we went, this will be safe.
With competitive dance, what would you say the difference between being in a competitive dance world and going into a more professional environment?
In the other side, the non-competitive side, is that it could be a long career.
Yeah.
And I think you can have a sustained career out of that. I think in competitiveness, it's kind of like you aim for the competition and then you have to fill the other time, either with training or but with other life, whereas in the other side, you can actually just do this full time, you know, or make it a full-time job. And I think that's the two differences, really.
And I guess with commercial dance, it's trying to get a good agent. You might be sent forward for auditions for all sorts of different things. Having a good agent would make sure that you got seen by the right people.
Yeah, I guess in competitiveness, you can go down the commercial route. You can have a very sustained career because you can go into like TV, film. So one of my friends, Jen, she was the choreographer for the new Barbie film, and she came from contemporary, and then she went to a commercial class, and she went, quite like this.
Cool.
And she used her contemporary training to understand how to move as a commercial dancer, but because she had the choreography skills that a lot of commercial dancers don't, because the commercial dancers get taught a lot of steps and they learn, right? Whereas in the contemporary world, you have that, but you also have to make a lot yourself. So she utilised that.
I was wondering if anyone wants to talk about a recent project they've been involved in.
It's something different from, I'm not working with professional dancers, I'm working with 7-year-old children. So I'm working with 48 7-year-olds to create a 50-minute show. They've kind of pulled away from drama and dance because school has told them that that's not what you should be doing. You should be doing maths and English and do that, which you should as well, you know. But these kids now have, since doing this project, have really come out their shells and grown confidence. They're using dance as a tool. Maybe they won't ever dance again, but they're using it as discipline and to learn kind of functions, and so it's really amazing.
I made a show last summer that's just about to tour. It's called Small Time Boys. That was all about the 80s and 90s. It's quite dark. It's all about the AIDS crisis. It's about kind of going out and clubbing, finding your people, and about this kind of huge kind of health crisis that happened in the 80s and 90s that claimed a lot of gay men's lives.
I wanted to ask you guys to think about a piece of advice you might give to your younger self when you were starting out. Oh, do you know what I would have said? I would have said, just keep going, Dawn, just keep going. Sometimes I thought, I don't know why I'm still doing this. I'm not getting much better. I'm just keep going. And it worked out okay, so still doing it, which is nice. Still been earning a living all these years from dance, who knew? Not my family, that's for sure. Any other things that you think of that we might?
I think, tapping into, I think your particular generation with social media are really great at kind of having like an online presence. So trying to think about those skills, learning to edit videos or edit music or, just some basic stuff so that you can get like things like show reels together, or if you're putting your own show together, you don't then need to pay somebody else to then edit music or things like that you could just be kind of crafting a lot of those worlds yourselves.
I think for me it would be like, don't really worry about what other people are saying about you at that time, because in 10 years time you'll all be waking up and you'll be in jobs that maybe you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I think I would have got there quicker
if you just thought,
if
don't
I
worry
just
about
went, this is what I want to do, so just go for it.
You feel like, as you're kind of growing up, you feel like, oh, I need to be a bit more like this person, or I need to look a bit more like that person. And I think that's the one thing I've kind of realised. Actually, who I am at the centre of all of it is enough. So I think that's probably my advice.
The most inspiring thing with me was probably John and his background story. I've got dyslexia, so it was very interesting to hear how bad he did in school, but he still managed to achieve what he wanted.
It just really opened my eyes to the different opportunities that you could have in dance. The shows, like creating your own things, expressing yourself, just be confident in who you are.
There's so much opportunities that I found out today that you don't need to be the brightest in every subject. Just being big and bubbly and just expressing you If that's what gets your qualifications, that's what gets your qualifications. Yeah, it's good to have it in maths and English, but it's what, at the end of the day, it's what you want to do. I think I'll refer back to the boys can't dance thing. I think that was just like the fact that he just said that, and I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's correct. Like you can't just say boys can't dance. Anybody can dance. It's just not such an expressive thing that you can just do whatever.
I do want to do dance as a career when I'm older, but also in a mix of acting. So hearing all of the amazing opportunities they got to do that wasn't also just dancing really just makes me want to go for it more.